Within the Cash Flow tab, we see the result of everything we have entered in the income cost sheet. I remind you that, inside this sheet, we insert all the information, divided by date and by type. We can practically always choose the type from this drop-down menu. We can enter the amount in notes, and, as seen in the specific video, whether or not to receive an alert. Within the Cash Flow sheet, we see exactly the result, divided by month and by incomes items, or cost items. I mentioned it in the other video, but how do you read the information on this sheet? First, after specifying it in the parameters, here we see the name of the person to whom this sheet belongs, considering that it is possible to have multiple sheets. Here are all the items of incomes and costs that have already been entered within parameters. And here is the breakdown by months. For incomes, there will be a general summary of the month with the sum of what has been forecast. Same for the costs. There will be the sum of all costs. But the sum of each single category is also present. For example, house, or needs, or family, etc. The sum of the subtotal can be found in the general item costs, from which the annual total also derives. Another important thing, which I also mentioned in another video, is that here we have two columns: total today and total year. What does it mean? We have seen that, within income cost, it is also possible to insert items that are subsequent to today's date. So, income and expenses that have not yet been realized, but which I expect to be realized. In this way, I can understand, by correctly entering this information, how the cash flow changes over time. Check if you will go into economic or financial distress. Understand if you can cover certain costs that maybe you will have in the future. If you get income in the future, you can enter it as you already know you will receive a bonus. Or, rather, enter the cost of the expiring insurance that you can recover. Then you see this information inside, even if it hasn't happened to date yet. For this reason, here is the total of incomes and costs to date. And it's calculated by an automatic filter, so you don't have to do anything at all. So, let's assume that to date you have collected $4,700 as salary too. On the other hand, in December, which has not yet happened, but which I have foreseen in income cost, these other $10,000 are added up as the total for the year. This will give a total of $14,700. Same thing for costs. Obviously, if no future expenses or future incomes are entered, the values will turn out to be the same. But I recommend using this function because it is very convenient. Suppose you have a recurring expense of $1,000 on rent. This item is useful to insert it for the whole year, even if you are in January. In this way, it is possible to know how much you will spend at the end of the year. And, consequently, how your bank account will change during the year with earnings and payments. The last useful thing to know about this sheet concerns these side filters, these aggregators. If you click on it, it gives you an error message. Always be careful, but in this case, it is possible to continue. It is possible to contract the cost items, because maybe you only need to see the real total of the specific category. Or expand them, and then see all the specific items concerning the house category. It is possible to do the same thing also with regard to the cost part and the incomes part. By right-clicking, you can also expand the entire menu, or collapse the entire menu. Then, display only the income or expense portion. Or, as I said before, it can be done for each item and manually.